speaker, mentor, coach, and I might be a prophet of the Most High God. Welcome to a little thing I've been calling the D.I.M.E Devotional, daily inspiration, motivation, and exhortation. I'm dropping dimes at 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. Check out the website, briankey360.com. Welcome to episode number 492. 492. A couple of thoughts are running through my head. A couple of ideas are running through my head. So just bear with me. So the question is this. Have you believed the lie? That's the title. Have you believed the lie? And what I mean by that is there's an idea, there's a notion, there's a concept that I've heard many, many times. And it says this, oh, wait a minute. I want to make sure you get the full effect. Hold on now. I don't have the lights popping like I'm supposed to. So I don't have the lights popping like I'm supposed to. Get the lights popping. All right. We got the lights popping. Got the ambiance. You feel me? So the question is, have you believed a lie? And what I mean by have you believed a lie, I'm specifically wanting to know is, have you been told or taught this idea? You are where you are because of the decisions you've made. Now, I respect it. I get it. I even understand it. But you are where you are because of the decisions you have made. Is that true? Is that right? Is that the answer? And I say that because what do you say to the person who was laid off? What do you say to the person who had a death, unexpected death in the family? What do you say to the person like the biblical character named Joseph, who simply articulated a dream that was given to him by God, and yet that dream upset his people so much so that they decided that they wanted to actually take his life, but they put him into the pit? What do you say to the people who are suffering from an economic downturn, the people who suffered through the Great Depression, or more in recent times, the Great Recession? How do you justify the idea that says you are where you are because of the decisions you've made? Don't get me wrong, I do believe our decisions make a huge difference in our lives, but I don't know if to embrace or fully embrace what I'm going through is appropriate based on my circumstance. I don't know if you can necessarily say that where I am is based on, in assuming that where I am is a bad place, assuming that where I am is not where I want to be or is not ideal, assuming that I'm in that place, I don't believe that we can say that because you made this decision or that decision, you are here. Riddle me this, Batman. What do you say of people who were in war? What do you say of the people? What do you say of the people who were bombed in Japan at the beginning of World War II? What do you say to the people who were in Pearl Harbor, who were unexpectedly bombed? What do you say to the people who were subject to, they were lied to and told that they were being given a vaccine, but in fact they were being guinea pigs for syphilis? How can you say that that person is a product of the decisions they made? What about people who are experiencing a famine or a natural disaster? A hurricane hits the coast, a whirlwind, a tornado comes. I live in this tornado central. They call it tornado alley where I live. How can you say that that person's predicament is based on the decisions they've made? What I'm saying is that if your world is painted with trouble, with challenges, with opportunities, and you believe somehow deep down it is your fault, that somehow this is punitive, what you're going through is punitive, do you see how that internalization can be destructive? Do you see how this idea, and I know people mean well, you are the sum total of the decisions you've made. I get what you're trying to do because you're trying to advocate for extreme ownership. I get that. But there are just some things that are beyond our control. In fact, if we're honest, there's not a whole lot in our control. It really isn't. We don't really take into consideration how much actually boils down to luck and chance. How many things are operating in the background well before we have the ability to make a decision for ourselves? We are the benefactors of good decision made before us in many, many cases. We're the benefactors of people around us making good decisions. We're not always the ones who've made the good decision. What do you say to the person who was born or has developed cancer? Not cancer of the lungs as a result of smoking or something along those lines, but what do you say to a woman suffering with breast cancer? How do you say that you are the product of the decisions you made? I don't agree. I don't agree. Have you believed a lie? Have you internalized an idea and a concept that doesn't bear witness to history? What about the man by the name of Moses? What did he do to be born in Pharaoh's house? What about the man by the name of, I said Joseph, but I meant Moses, who was born in Pharaoh's house? What about Joseph, who was thrown into the pit? What about all of these people? What about Anne Frank, who found herself in an attic of a family in lieu of persecution, in lieu of dying, which ultimately she did do? What do you say to the person who is black or a person of color in this particular climate? What do you say to a person who was born an ethnicity or race or color, and immediately because you were born there are people who hate you and despise you based on that color? What do you say? How is that person's situation based on their choice, or the fact that women make less than men and yet you were born a woman? How is that your fault? How is it the fact that you were born with certain handy-capable aspects, certain challenges physically? How is it a decision you've made? Here's what I'm saying. I believe we've believed a lie. I believe that we've been led astray. I believe that we've internalized, and I keep saying that because I think it's true. You are feeling depressed and guilty about something that is outside of your purview, something you cannot control. And instead of operating in this thinking, this completely stinking, maybe we need to change our perspective. What am I saying? I got 3 ideas, 3 takeaways. Have you believed a lie? And I'm speaking specifically, my heart's been very heavy for the past few weeks over people who are going through a rough time. I went through one myself, but now I'm starting to see I experienced depression, not for me, but for you. I went through depression. I had to go through the period of knowing what it felt like, a chemical imbalance, if you will, to know what it feels like to be depressed. No, I wasn't suicidal. No, did I want to end it all, but I did question it all. And I don't want to be disrespectful and say I know what you're going through. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that I know, based on what I've experienced here recently, depression is real. Heartache is real. Frustration is real. The pressure to be something, the pressure to conform to something, the pressure to do many things in this world wreak havoc on people. And I don't understand, how are we in a position to criticize when we don't know a person's story? You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what they've experienced. You don't know what they're dealing with. And yet you have the nerve to criticize. God, forgive me for being critical of people who are struggling just to wake up, struggling just to make it through the day. Forgive me. But to those who have struggled, to those who've not necessarily woken up every day and were ecstatic, I know what that feels like too. But to those who have woken up and questioned everything, to those who on the brink of suicide, in fact, if you don't mind, I'll pray. Father, I come before you now and I rebuke the spirit of suicide. And I speak life into every situation, financial situation, God, economic situation, God, racial situation, God, career situation, education situation, God, every relational situation, from mother to daughter, from son to, from parent to child, from sibling to sibling, from child to parent, every situation, extended family, immediate family. I ask that you put a circle, a hedge around that family. And God, I thank you that tomorrow is a better day. God, give your people hope, God. Give them a sunshine, God. Let them see a baby smile, Father God. Let them see a check come from a space and place. Let them receive a phone call that they didn't anticipate. Let them get a promotion that they didn't even know they were up for, or a raise, God. Give them hope to let them know that you are still in the loving, blessing business. 3 things to take away. You've been lied to. We've been lied. Have we believed a lie? I know people mean well. I know they love us, but they mean well. But have we believed a lie? 3 things I want you to consider. It is not happening to you. Maybe it is happening for you. The circumstance, what you're going through, the pain, the heartache, the disrespect, it's not happening to you, but it is actually happening for you. Point number 2. You were not, or you were selected, not neglected. Let me say it the other way. You have not been neglected. You've not been thrown away or put on the side. You've actually been selected to go through this thing. You've been chosen to go through this thing. Why? Point number 3. This is not punishment for weakness, but a prize for the strong. What you're going through is not a punishment for being weak, but it's actually a prize for the strength that you carry. You've been trusted with trouble. So as you go through this situation, I don't have an answer for you. I just know that if we change our perspective about it, if we recognize that we go through things not for us, but for other people. Sometimes God is trying to get us to a blueprint. He's trying to get us to understand certain things. He's trying to get us to have empathy. He's trying to make sure that we know what it's like to experience a thing. Because if you stand on the outside looking in, there's no way you can have the heart for it. There's no way, not as a human being. We don't understand pain until we experience